What is up, everybody? It's the King 4427 coming at you guys with a new vlog, and this one is about the Nintendo Switch. Now, recently in October, it was announced the system is coming out next year, and they showed off what the system's going to look like. They showed off its capabilities. They showed off a few of the games that are going to be released to it, with a few that aren't going to be released for it, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the Nintendo Switch has been announced to come out next year, and they showed it all, and it looks really cool. And what's awesome about the promotional trailer they showed is that it was for adults. They showed the portability of the system. They showed how the multiplayer is going to work if 2 people want to play or 4 people want to play. They showed the system out about in the world. They showed people, not kids, but adults playing the game together. That is what is the most important thing, I think, is that they're promoting it towards adults. However, all of this is going to be for naught if Nintendo drops the ball. And in my mind, I have 10 things that Nintendo could do with the Switch to make sure that the Switch is relevant after its launch. Okay, guys, here we go. Number 1, the Nintendo Switch has to be the only portable console. They need to drop that 3DS. Now, I know that sounds really stupid, like why would Nintendo drop their 3DS? Why? It's a very profitable handheld system for them. It has gotten them through a lot of dark times, all the Pokemon games, all the just amazing original IPs on the 3DS that completely beat out the PS Vita. Yeah, okay? It's a great system. I gotcha. However, think of this. If Nintendo drops 3DS and they bring out all of their developers for the 3DS over to the Switch and develop original games for the Switch along with Nintendo's console developers, they would have so many original IPs every single year. They would probably have 30 games every single year original for 5 years, because God knows they're going to drop it in 5 years, but still. Nintendo needs to drop 3DS to keep the Switch alive, and they've already dropped the Wii U recently, which just kind of shows they didn't have a whole lot of faith in the Wii U. And it's just a thought, but yeah, without the 3DS, I think the Switch would thrive even more. Because then the Switch would be a handheld device that has the power of a home console in the palm of your hand, as opposed to the Vita, which can't really compete with that. So more third-party developers will be more inclined to develop games for it, along with Nintendo's original IPs coming out, and you'd be able to play all those great games on the go whenever you wanted. It's just an idea, but I think it would work. Now, number 2, they need to reveal all their third-party support games with specific titles. Whatever publishers are supporting the Switch, they need to come out right now and announce what they're going to be developing, because seriously, this is what's going to make or break the Switch. The third-party support. In the trailers, we saw Skyrim's the remastered edition, and we saw NBA 2K. I don't know which one because I don't play it, but I saw that. And those are 2 games that will sell systems. Skyrim is one of the most popular Elder Scrolls game, and it sold millions of copies. People have spent hundreds of hours of their lives playing the Elder Scrolls. I've played it. I love it. And there are people who specifically buy consoles for sports games. But they said that's not going to happen. But 2K and Bethesda are going to support them. So they need to, I don't know what Nintendo has to do, but throw their money out there and get those games. Be like, oh yeah, we're actually going to put those games on the system, or put some, just use your money, Nintendo. You have it. You need to start throwing it out there to get all the third-party developers you can to make games for your system. You need to start dropping names. You need to start dropping games. You need to say, hey, we got this original IP coming from this guy. We're going to get this classic HD collection coming from this guy. We got all these games coming out, and it's not just our stuff. And it's going to be great third-party support. It's not going to be weak indie third-party support. Because if that does not happen, the Switch is going to drop. It happened like with Activision, when Activision was like, yeah, we're totally impressed with the Switch. What happened? Yeah, that's right. A lot of the games were dropped. They're like, we're going to make these games for the Switch. And then later, they're like, for the Wii U. And they said, no, we're not. Because we hate your system. But hopefully with the specs this thing has, more third-party developers will come in and be like, okay, you know what, we love your system, we want to develop for it, we want these games on the go. So yeah, Nintendo, you better start dropping some names in January or else. Number 3, Dragon Quest must come out in every region. Now on Wikipedia, it was announced that there are 2 Dragon Quest games coming out in 2017 for the Switch. They are only said to be released in Japan in 2017 and to be announced in every other region. Those games better come out in 2017, because do you know how many people love the Dragon Quest series? Not just in Japan, but all over the world. Dragon Quest could be a selling point. Not all the Dragon Quest games are great, but if you have 2 of those games coming out in the same year on the Switch alongside everything else, not only would be a good addition to your third-party support in the US, but it would be amazing. People would buy it. I would. Number 4, their online servers must still be free. This is a problem I have with a lot of the modern consoles today. PlayStation used to have free online servers for their multiplayer, and that was awesome. Then the PlayStation 4 came along, they started charging people for it. Xbox has always charged people for this, except I think the original Xbox was free, but 360 and Xbox One are not. So Nintendo Switch, if it has the same capabilities as the One and the PS4, and they have that same games, then there's no reason that third-party developers who are making games like COD and Battlefield and Star Wars Battlefront should not be able to come over and make games for their and their servers be free. That'll be another thing that could sell systems. Just think of it. If you had the choice of paying $60 a year for your Xbox One or your PS4 on top of what you already spent for it, and you had all those fees and everything, yeah, sure, you get a free game every month, but really, you're paying $60 a year, or would you rather pay nothing for the online service? Because I would rather pay nothing. Number 5, the Nintendo Switch must have a 1 terabyte hard drive and at least 3 to 4 hours of battery support when it's off its dock. That battery life may seem short, but seriously, I am just swinging for the fences here. I know they announced that the screen is not going to be 1080p, which I can understand because of the high-quality games that the system is going to have on it. You can't really do a 1080 system with the battery life going to burn out in maybe like 2 hours. So the system needs to have at least 3 hours of battery life, and that 1 terabyte hard drive is essential. I don't care what anybody says. It is essential because, let's face it, consoles are doing the thing where downloading the full game into your system is mandatory. 60 gig games, 80 gig games, 100 gig games. It's getting ridiculous. So 1 terabyte is the bare minimum this system can have on its hard drive. And that battery life can be 3 to 4 hours, but they better release an accessory later that adds another 6. Number 6, no stupid gimmick games. I cannot tell you how pissed I was every time Nintendo released a game for the Wii and the Wii U, and it had some dumb gimmick attached to one of their flagship titles. One of the games that comes to mind is Star Fox Zero, a game that I really would have loved to buy. I would have supported 100% to the end if it didn't fall on its stupid motion controls and gimmicks. Splatoon had motion controls, but you had the option to turn it off, and that game was completely fun without those controls. It was even a better game for it. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse had the touchpad gimmick to it, and I really hated that game for it. I would have loved to go through Kirby's Adventure again, but those controls really killed it for me. And same thing with the Wii's motion controls. That really killed it for me to play one of their games too. I mean, seriously, I don't care if you think I'm fat or not, or if you think I'm lazy. Swinging my arm around would just make me bored out of my mind, because it'd be like I'd be wearing myself out and I wouldn't be able to play the game all day if I wanted to. And the Wii U's gamepad would die in 3 hours, and I had to use that specific thing for the touchpad controls on certain games, and that was a pain in the ass. So if the system only needs you to use the game's controllers with very minimal touchscreen controls, because I know that that screen is a touchpad. Keep it to a minimum, Nintendo, and don't build your entire game around a gimmick, because gimmicks die. Good games last forever. Number 7, keep the console promoted at adults and teenagers. This is essential. You cannot promote the damn thing to kids. That is ridiculous. And don't lie like you did with the Wii U when you said you were coming back for the hardcore gamers, when you just lied to our faces. Yeah, the first year came out with last year's games, and we were all, whoa, they're back for real. A year later, there was a ton of kids' games coming out on that thing. And even on the virtual console, there was a lot of those. It was ridiculous, and it was completely unacceptable. They better bring it. This harkens back to the third-party support, too. That third-party support better have that in mind, because when you start your first trailer, and it shows a man playing the game in the middle of the night, and he goes out to walk his dog, and he puts it out there, you show adults who are hopping on a plane. You see adults who are playing basketball, which that was stupid, but it was adults playing the game. If you show somebody taking it to a party with their friends, and they're all adults, young adults, teenagers, you better promote the rest of the system like that. It better not be when January comes around, kids, you ready for the next Mario? No, don't do that. Number 8, release the console at $299 with a pack-in game. Again, this is an essential thing Nintendo needs to do. because a lot of people have speculated that this system should be released at $250 at best, with its big bundle at $299. But instead, the system is going to be released at $299, and they're going to ask $399 for the bundle. We don't know what's in this bundle, but it's a lot of money. That is PlayStation 4 Pro money. That is the Scorpio money. But we don't know what's in the bundle. It could be something really worth it. But if you're going to release the base system at $299, it better come with a damn pack-in game. Because let me tell you something, again, harkening back to when I bought the Wii U, I got that system day one. There was no way I could afford to get a damn game with it. I had to scrounge up for some really cheap games, and I had to buy a ton of the Wii games because they were backwards compatible, and some of them were like 99 cents. Thank God for them being so cheap. But I also had to buy a bunch of accessories on top of that the week later because they required so many. So make sure your system has everything it needs in box and have a game that we can play already in the box, because again, that's something that will sell systems, that we don't need to spend an extra $60 on top of the $300 system. And that brings me up to another point. Number 9, keep the accessories to a minimum accessories. Nintendo loves their accessories, and when I bought the Wii U for its Wii games, I had to buy so many Wii accessories to play those games. Utterly insane. I had to buy a Wiimote. I had to buy the nunchuck attachment. I had to buy the Wiimote Plus to improve its motion control capabilities. I had to buy. They even sold gun accessories for the games to make certain ones easier. The Wii U's gamepad had extra battery life, and they had little stands for it. They had all these different accessories to try to make your gaming experience better. I don't want to see that with the Switch. The Switch is a mobile console. Okay? We don't need a billion accessories. Maybe having an extra battery pack would be really nice. Yeah, announce that for the system. And that thing where you can strap it into the car and have 2 people playing with it without having to hold the Switch. Okay, that's a good idea. Promote that. But don't have like 10, 20 accessories coming out the following month. It was like, hey, it's a bag. You can hold 30 games in it and blah, blah, blah. You can have all this and this and this. And then this extra thing comes here and you can strap the system to your hip. And hey, here's a backpack you can store your stuff in. And hey, here's another thing you can strap the Wiimotes all into your wrist and look at the time because it's a freaking watch. We don't need all those accessories. Keep it to a minimum. Focus on the core games. And finally, number 10, the specs for the system need to be at least able to match the Xbox One. At least able to match the Xbox One, because third-party developers will get a better chance of making games for it. One of the problems with the Wii U was its hardware was one generation behind. It was already too late. That system's graphical capability isn't going to be anything amazing, but if it can at least match up to the Xbox One, third-party developers can look at it and be like, yes, finally a system we can make games on, and when they can keep up with our games and graphical capabilities. We don't have to tone it down for the system. The specs just have to be good. And if Nintendo does that, not only will it open up a lot of third-party developers, it'll get a lot of people who only look at games for their graphics to turn their heads and be like, whoa, Nintendo's got it going on now. And that, in my mind, is the top 10 things Nintendo needs to do with the Switch in order to keep it relevant. I'm sorry if I did ramble a bit in certain parts, and I'm sorry if some of the things I said didn't quite make sense, or if I stopped too early, but I really tried to get them all out as fast as I could. I tried to focus my point as best as I possibly could. Nintendo, if you're watching this and you actually listen to some of these things, thank you. Please do at least 1 or 2 of these things. Your system will sell better. Or maybe you're already doing it. I don't know, but it has to be some of these things, and your system will be way more relevant when it's released. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.